It's all about learning about yourself, right? So always following the string down, as I say. All right, let's get to your questions. We have two questions today. One is stuck in a cycle of defensiveness with my partner. How do we navigate? Great question. And then the other question is situationship. It's actually situationship, and I'm notorious for misspelling, so it says situationship, which I actually don't. I think is more appropriate, right? How do I deal with it? Okay, so the first question: stuck in a cycle of defensiveness with my partner. How do I navigate? I have a friend, and he told me the story. I love the story because it's just so simple. He said he was in couples therapy with his then wife, and they were talking about how she leaves the cabinets open and how it bothered him. And the therapist said, "Well, why don't you just close them?" And of course, that's not what you want to hear, right? Because you're like, well, she left the fucking cabinets open. She should close them. I'm not her dad, or I'm not her whatever. She opens them, she closes them. Like, why should I do it, right? And he decided one day, he's like, fuck it. Like, the therapist is just right. Why don't I just close the cabinets? Why am I getting so mad? Now, of course, if it's a pattern and it's happening for a long time, I could understand that. But he decided to just close the cabinets instead of making a big deal out of it. And it worked, meaning there was no fight. And then eventually, I think he did it a couple times, and then eventually she started closing her own cabinets, right? And I share this story because I love how simple it is and how like everyday life it is. But also, when it comes to being defensiveness, we're both usually unwilling to let go of the tug of war rope, right? Usually because of ego or because of not wanting to be wrong. All these reasons, right? And sometimes if you just decide to let go, if you just decide, okay, I'm not going to be defensive, I'm not going to fight, I'm going to let my partner do whatever they want, but I'm going to not be defensive, and let's see if things change. And usually it will change because now you're not repeating the same dance, right? You're disengaging. And by disengaging, the dynamic will change. Now, this doesn't mean for you to be a pushover. This doesn't mean for you to sacrifice self or abandon yourself. It just means that sometimes someone needs to just close the cabinets instead of waiting, instead of having the standoff, right? In relationships, we can definitely, because of each of us holding on to anger, resentment that builds, we could have the standoff. And what happens is people become very defensive. Defensiveness, one of the